Hello and welcome to another Nailed On video with John and Chris. We're going to look at the best captaincy choices for this week, and we're going to do that by going through some of the key fixtures and lifting out the key players that we need to be considering, and then we're going to rank them in an easy to follow tier list so that you can look at where you can identify some of the most premium options within your own teams. So Chris, starting off with the first fixture then, Newcastle at home to Chelsea. Obviously, we're going to be looking at the Chelsea assets here. Who's standing out?
Yeah, so obviously Werner stands out here. In very good form recently. Still scoring for Germany as well. I guess it's a little bit of a worry still of, is he going to play on the left-hand side? Is he going to play through the middle? I think now that Havertz is back, I'm not too
just
sure.
A note on that, Havertz and Pulisic, I believe, might be a doubt for this game, so we're going to need to wait for the press conference. So
this obviously depends if those players are back, because I think if those players are back, it's more likely that he plays through the middle. Other than that, he may play on the left again, but on paper he looks like a good option. I'd probably put him in the A tier for this one. He's got very high chance of scoring any time in this game. Is it 45%, I think, probability?
Yeah, well, he's actually, the bookies have him as above a 50% chance, just above. So he's a coin flip to score, essentially. So a really good bet in that sense. And as Chris said, lots of good opportunities there. If he's on penalties as well, which he's just won from Jorginho, that's a really nice option. And for some people who will just downgrade Kane to bring in someone like Werner, that's quite a nice captaincy option right there.
Yeah, I think as you say there, the penalties are really, really key that he now is on those. Is there anyone else we want to mention from Chelsea?
Maybe I think Werner is the clear standout, but if you have Ziyech in your team, he's also, if he follows that vein of form he's in at the moment, he did very well over the international break as well, obviously different leagues, of course, but he is a viable option, I think. A bit more of a gamble there. So I think Werner would be safer, but two quite nice options, with Werner being the one we're going to drop in our ranking today at the A tier.
And if we were going to put a ranking on Ziyech, what tier would we go for?
I mean, he'd fall lower down the list. There's a bit more risk involved with him. I'd put probably C tier.
Yeah.
He would slot into.
Yeah. Okay, so if we move on then, so Aston Villa Brighton is the next fixture. I guess there's only one man who stands out here, isn't it? It's Jack Grealish.
Yeah, I mean, looking brilliant at the moment. Always a great chance of landing an assist or two. And after you partner that up with, say, a goal and an assist, which is a realistic chance, you're looking at a really big point return, which is obviously what we need in FPL. So I see quite a high ceiling for Grealish in this fixture against Brighton. Lots of favourable stats around shots on target.
Yeah.
And Grealish is going to be a big part of that. Shots in the box, that is, sorry. So I think he's a viable risk. He is a bit more of a budget option, and I think it's, as a general rule of thumb, it's best to stick with some of the more premium players if you have them in your team. But he's a nice differential and a viable option. So I don't mind Grealish as a pick, but I think many managers will have better options.
Yeah, agree. And we'll probably put him on the C tier again. As you mentioned, he's not one of the premium assets, but could be a good differential nonetheless.
Agree. Yeah, I will just shout out whilst we're on Villa. I think Ollie Watkins there is some potential there. The striker at home to Brighton, I think is okay, but again, I prefer Grealish.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, then so Spurs Man City the next game. Tough game to call. I guess you've still got to consider the likes of KDB and Kane for this one. Where would obviously, it's probably not someone we'd recommend captaining. Based on where we're going to put them on the tier list. So we're going to go for KDB C tier and Kane D tier. Would you agree with that, John?
That sounds about right. I mean, lots of people will look at Kane's form and think he's a surefire to score a goal, but this is Man City we're talking about still. Bookies have him as a 39%, that is, to score a Harry Kane. Obviously, with KDB, there's more of a chance you're going to see the likes of more assists as well. So it's a pretty reliable option, KDB. Always going to be the case, but neither of them, because of the difficulty of the fixture, neither of them massively stand out for me this week. So both of them a bit lower down the list. Are we saying I think KDB slots quite comfortably in at the C tier?
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah. And I agree with you on Kane. D tier option this week.
Yeah. Okay then. So the next fixture then, which presents probably the most favourable fixture of the weekend, is Man United West Brom. Now, Man United's form at home isn't great, 1 point from 4, but they've lost a couple of bigger games, if you like. So this on paper looks really good, doesn't it, John? For those who are on Bruno, potentially the likes of Rashford as well. Bruno is probably the standout here, isn't he, John?
Yeah, I mean, as you said on the fixture, in terms of win probability, this is the best by far of any fixture this week. I follow this logic a lot, and I mean, Man U, they're 1 to 3 to win the fixture, so an incredibly high chance of winning. And yeah, you do have a few viable options in Man U, but Bruno is the clear standout. He's in brilliant form. He likes to take lots of shots, and he's on penalties as well. So yeah, he's going to be a great option. And if he bags a goal or two, then you could be doing very well with having Bruno as the captain. So he, for me, is the premium choice and my top pick of the week.
Yeah, I completely agree. So obviously, if you own Bruno or you're planning to make a transfer, if you can get this man in, he's our S tier option this week. Okay, then. So if we move on to Sunday's games, then. So another favourable fixture on paper is Fulham Everton. Obviously, for the Everton assets, the likes of DCL and James Rodriguez. Where would we put them on the tier list?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, people think Fulham struggling in the Premiership and Everton have been doing very well. Obviously, not so much as of recent. Everton are actually just even money to win this, so it's not as mind-blowingly good as many people are seeing this fixture. With that said, I think DCL and James are both good options. They're viable options if you don't have some of the better guys in your team. I'll probably put them on the C tier, again on a similar par with Grealish and of course and even the likes of KDB we've mentioned earlier. So both viable options, but nothing too special there.
Yeah, so if you own both, we've put them in the C tier, so James and DCL. Which one would you go for out of those two?
Personally, I'm on James for a captaincy choice. He's more likely to. He seems to be more of a safer bet, and I see it's very marginal. Flip a coin, I think, if you're making that decision. But I see slightly more upside in James, given he's going to have increased involvement in goals on the pitch, and he has proven that he can show it with goals, and there's no reason why that can't be the case. On Sunday. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, then. So we'll probably skip over Sheffield West Ham as any captaincy options. So Leeds Arsenal then. Aubameyang as a good option potentially. He's got a very high chance of scoring in this game. It's a bit surprised to a lot of people. I think the last time I checked it was like a 47% chance of scoring any time, but I don't know if that's changed.
It's just went above 50% again. So in terms of probability, he's one of the highest chances of the week to return in terms of a goal. He's just scored in his last fixture, and we might see a bit of a change in his run of form. So away to Leeds, I think he's a viable option. Many won't have him in their team, but if you do have Auba or consider getting him, then there's no reason not to put the captaincy on unless you've got one of our kind of higher tier options. I really like him as an option. I think those who go for him could well be rewarded. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously Leeds haven't been the most solid at the back. I think there's a chance, as an Arsenal fan watching us recently, and a lot of fans asking to get Aubameyang down the middle, there is a chance that happens, and he starts down the middle. I'll be very happy personally if that happens, and I think it only increases his chances of scoring. But that's one to watch, definitely.
Just to note the way on any midfielders, I mean, not only do you get the extra point for the goal, there's the extra chance of a clean sheet point. So generally, you're looking at a higher ceiling when it's a midfielder who stands a really high chance of scoring compared to a striker. If they have the same probability, you always take the midfielder because of that extra point and the clean sheet potential.
Yeah. So would we go A tier probably for Aubameyang for this one?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the more premium options if you're on Aubameyang. Okay, then so we'll move on to Liverpool Leicester then. So obviously there's a lot of talk, isn't there, around the injuries that Liverpool have got at the moment. So obviously Vardy, I saw that has quite a high chance of scoring in this one, probably because of the defensive issues specifically that Liverpool have got. Where would we rank him though? Because we've got to remember that Liverpool at Anfield are still, they've got a ridiculous record there. They're still going to be solid defensively, really, aren't they? So
Yeah, I think it's easy for us to jump to conclusions that they're missing a number of key defensive players, missing Salah, and think this means that the floodgates are going to open at Anfield. And statistically, that's just not likely to be the case. So I'm still confident that Liverpool. I mean, their clean sheet odds will still be quite respectable in this fixture, and I wouldn't want to oppose that, even with the injuries they have. So Vardy's not a very good option for me. He's always dangerous. We know how good of a penalty taker he is, but he's low down on the list for me. I'd put him at D tier.
D tier, yeah, I agree with that. And then on the Liverpool side, I guess there's Sadio Mane, who's the standout option here, with Salah missing, as you mentioned. It sort of gives him more chance to score, I guess. Possibly.
I mean, there's quite a few uncertainties with Salah out the team. We know they work he's obviously very strong as a duo, but his anytime goal scorer odds are still not as favourable as I'd have liked to see for him. I mean, Mane, you're looking at I've got the percentage here, 45% to score anytime, which is still pretty decent.
Yeah.
And he is a good option. I mean, if he's in your team, again, that's going to be probably the guy you're going to want to be on. I would put him. For me, he's probably A/B tier.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this a bit before, and maybe more of a B tier option. So, yeah, a bit of debate amongst us there, but I think he's still a really good option for me and slots in, put him at the B tier.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, then, so we probably don't need to cover Monday night's games because there's not really a clear captaincy option in either of those. So that concludes our tier list, I think, John. Unless there's any other comments to make?
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's there for you to use. Obviously, not everyone's going to have all of these players in their team, and people are planning transfers as we speak. Obviously, keep a lookout for the press conference news, but I think there's a ton of upside when you focus on informed players that have great fixtures, and we'd like to think that's what our tier list reflects today. So best of luck in your decision. That's what's going to make a big difference in the game week. So thank you very much from us.
Cheers, guys. Good luck.